All right. Good evening, everyone. It is past 7 o'clock. I know a lot of you had a busy day today at work or doing your regular activities. So I want to thank you all for joining us tonight, for this great webinar. Title is Caffeine Stealing Your Energy. I know a lot of people already have a lot of questions, and I am more than happy to answer them. But I want to answer those questions after actually we go through the slide, because I know there are a lot of information that I will give to you that will answer most of your questions. So, for those who do not know me, my name is Samuel Louis Saint. I am a nurse practitioner and functional medicine provider. I have been in the field for over a decade now, and I recently moved to Georgia from Massachusetts, and with my wife. So we are loving it here, the South, and we do go back home sometimes, but this is our home now. And so I'm going to the next slide so I can explain to you guys the difference between functional medicine and traditional medicine before we start diving in. So functional medicine, a lot of people, they are not aware of what that means. This is solely an approach in healthcare where the provider, myself or any functional provider, focus on the root cause of the problem instead of focusing on the symptoms. For example, let's say if you have um, acid reflux, just a random example, and if you go to any conventional or traditional provider, and what they will do, they will run some tests, but they will most likely give you some medication, for example, a PPI, pump protein inhibitor, such as omeprazole, to help with that symptoms, but it does not really get to the root cause of the problem. So this is where functional medicine we come in. We Instead of looking at the symptom and trying to fix the symptom, because the symptom is there and it's still going to come back if we do not go to the root of the problem. So we focus on the root cause, and we also focus on individualized care plan instead of a one size fits all. All right. So the first question I want to answer and I want everybody to understand is, what are the adrenal glands? So in order to understand the caffeine, what it does to your body, it is important to understand first what the adrenal gland is. So we're going to talk about two important organs tonight: the adrenal glands and then the liver. So now let's talk about adrenal glands. So what are the adrenal glands? Looking at the pictures on the screen, you see there are two small walnut size that sits right on top of the kidney. These are the adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands, they are very small, yet they play a crucial role in your body. And so we're only going to talk about few of the functions of the adrenal glands because they have so many roles. I don't want to overwhelm you. I want to make sure that I give you the essential information to help you understand the topic today, which is the caffeine and also the fatigue, which is a common problem in the healthcare. So one of the function the adrenal gland does is that it produces something called cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that we all have, and cortisol, what it does, it helps with stress. That's why they call it a stress hormone, and it raises your blood sugar. It controls your blood pressure, and it regulates sleep cycle as well. And on the next slide, I'm going to show you the relationship between the cortisol that I'm talking about and the sleep hormone. There's a sleep hormone that is called melatonin. A lot of people in the healthcare, you're probably aware of that word, melatonin. So this is a sleep hormone. So what it does naturally, in the morning, your melatonin goes down, of course, because you're waking up. And then at night, your melatonin goes up. inversely with the cortisol in the morning, naturally your cortisol goes up and then it slows down at night. That's the classic function of cortisol and the sleep hormone, which is the melatonin. So they have that inverse relationship. So whenever your cortisol is high, your melatonin level is low. And whenever your melatonin level is high, your cortisol level is low. However, the cortisol kind of have the priority over the melatonin because if the cortisol refuse to go low, then the melatonin will have a hard time to swap with the cortisol. But I want you to understand that part so we can um, really grasp what I'm going to talk about when it comes to caffeine. All right. This is the $1 million question. I know a lot of you, including myself, we drink coffee or soda or energy drink, mainly because we need it for energy. But I need to acknowledge and letting you know that yes, I know coffee or any caffeine drink, they help. They do help, but short term. If you're looking for a quick fix, like you're waking up in the morning and you're dragging throughout the day and you want something to kind of give you that energy, yes, the caffeine will contribute to that. But I also want to make sure that you understand that the energy is not on the caffeine, but instead the caffeine does something to your body which produces or triggers the energy, the body to energize. So let's look at the first part of this slide. The caffeine, something it does, it triggers production and stimulates the nerve system. So the cortisol production, caffeine, this is what it does. When you drink a coffee in the morning or any time throughout the day and you feel energized, the energy is not from the coffee. The energy, instead, the caffeine stimulates those adrenal glands that I showed you earlier, those two walnut size organ. So whenever you drink the coffee, it stimulates those two glands, and then those glands produces cortisol, which is the hormone that keeps us alert, and it makes your eyes very dilated, your muscle tense, and you're ready for action. Then you're like, you know what, this is good. So it's good short term, and we all can see that. However, when you drink coffee, especially in the morning, this is what it does to you. So your body naturally, I want to go to the last slide just to show. So your body naturally in the morning, the cortisol rises naturally. So now when you drink the coffee first thing in the morning, so what it does, it stimulates your adrenal gland to shoot more cortisol, which your body has already been in the process to rise. So now you're telling the body, hey, I need way more cortisol than that. So let's work. So now your adrenal gland is kind of confusing, be like, damn, what's going on? Like I'm giving you cortisol, and then you are actually stimulating me to give you more cortisol. So what happened there is that you will get that spike of energy where you're like, you're ready to go. It's if you drink that coffee first thing in the morning and driving to work, you're gonna be energized, you're gonna start your day really well. But then what happened is that you're going to have that crash throughout the day. Some people it may be a couple hours, other people it may be 5 to 6 hours. Everybody's body is different, but it does the crash. It crashes regardless. That's why you're gonna say, "Oh, I need another coffee," or "I need another energy drink. I need some more soda." Is because the work that you put in your small gland, which are the adrenal glands, were like so stressful, and they actually did the work. They're very nice. They did the work, but at the end of the day, you're going to get that crash. And then for the afternoon crash, whenever you drink coffee closer to the afternoon or evening, what it does now, it creates that tolerance and that interferes with sleep. So you might think that, okay, so that's fine. I'll go to sleep and I have a good night and I wake up, but I'm still kind of tired. But in your mind, you said, you know what, it's because that I need that caffeine or coffee, whichever source of caffeine that you take just to start your day. It's mainly because you did not have a good night's sleep. Because if you really had a good night's sleep, then you will wake up refreshed. So then that's why coffee or any sort of caffeine really affect you instead of giving you that energy. That is why it's stealing your energy. So you might be asking right now, well, I woke up drinking coffee, myself included, especially people from the Caribbean, we drink a lot of coffee or energy drink, mostly coffee. But everybody's body, like I said, is different. So you may build tolerance, but that doesn't mean that whatever the caffeine does to the adrenal gland that I showed you earlier on the previous slides, it still stimulates those adrenal glands to shoot the cortisol. So then, whenever you shoot the cortisol, now your cortisol level is high. So now, what happened whenever your cortisol gets high? So we're going to talk about that. So if you continuously drinking coffee, in the morning or throughout the day, have 2, 3 cups of coffee just to keep you awake. And I have some friends, they drive trucks and they have to stay alert and awake, when they're working. So they keep that coffee or that energy drink. But yes, it'll do the job. I have to admit that it does the job momentarily. But if you're looking at the long term result, that's when it gets you. So just focusing on the moment for 2, 3 hours or for the day, yes, the coffee will do the work. But when you're thinking of the effect that the coffee does to your body, and especially those small adrenal glands, then that's when you will start, questioning yourself and be like, okay, so it's good right now, but what happens later on when I get to my, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s? Your adrenal glands, they get tired as well, just like you throughout the day you feel tired, you're like, man, I have no energy, what's going on? But your adrenal glands, if they could speak, they'll probably tell you, hey, what about me? I'm tired too. So whenever you put that caffeine and me, you stimulate me. So then I have to produce even more cortisol than I naturally produce. So that's putting extra work. That's like overtime if you're working. And you all understand that when you keep working overtime, you're going to crash. Just like your organs are going to crash eventually. And unfortunately, some organs they crash as you age, and adding that stress into those organs, it's like you're crashing even earlier. So now we're going to look at what happened when your adrenal glands get fatigued. They get tired just like you. The first one is the unexplained fatigue. So what happened is that whenever you drink the caffeine, like I said, it forces the adrenal glands to increase the cortisol. So now when the cortisol is high, it doesn't just stay in the body. The cortisol first, it increases your blood sugar, it increases your heart rate, it increases your blood pressure. Why? Because naturally you need that short term to respond to stress or any activity. Let's say, for example, you're walking and you see a bus coming, then yes, your brain will communicate with your adrenal gland to shoot some cortisol and adrenaline to get you alert so you can save yourself, in life threatening, situation. Yes, that's perfect, that's great. But long term, just thinking long term, over time when you're not in a stressful or life-threatening situation, but your body, basically you're treating your body as you are always in a life-threatening situation because your cortisol keep going up and up and up, but you only need it just because you don't have that energy. You don't know why you don't have energy, and all you know is that quick fix, the coffee that will give you that energy. That's what you're telling yourself, but your adrenal is actually the one that's getting paid for all of that. So what happened is that whenever your cortisol hormone rises and continue to rise, then it'll break down protein in your body, which into amino acid. And then that amino acid will travel to your liver, and then the liver will convert that into glucose and then shoot down to the body. That's how your blood pressure elevates whenever your cortisol level is high. So whenever that happen, you will get that unexplained fatigue because whenever you get a spike in your blood sugar, yes, you will be up and then crash right back. So when you crash and you know your blood sugar goes down, you have all sort of problems. In long term, it'll lead to diabetes, which is one of the things that you can see here. Why it leads to diabetes? Whenever you keep drinking that caffeine, you're stimulating those adrenal glands to give you more cortisol so you can be alert and awake, so you can, go through your day and everything. When you keep doing that for a long period of time, so now what happened is that yes, the cortisol level keep increasing the blood sugar, and then your pancreas, which is another organ, say, okay guys, I see a lot of blood sugar, let me try to regulate, the blood sugar in the bloodstream. So the pancreas start um, producing insulin to regulate the blood sugar. However, just like us or any machine, whenever you keep working, you will get tired, and then your pancreas will start giving in, or maybe your body will have that insulin resistance, and that's how you will be at very high risk of type 2 diabetes. That is one. And then the osteoporosis, which is when your bones get very fragile and your muscles got very thin and weak. Why? Because remember the cortisol, whenever it shoots up, it breaks down the protein, and especially the protein in your bones, in your muscle. So then you will be at risk for, you'll be very fragile. And I'm not being funny, long term, this will give you something that people call like flat butt and big belly. Why? Because the cortisol will attack those muscle in your butt, and then the protein, it'll break them down because hey, like it gets tired, so it start doing its thing, and just because the adrenal gland is very nice, is trying to compensate, is trying to respond to what you're asking them to do, but over time, yes, they will attack those muscles, and then you have that flat butt, and then the belly will increase. Why the belly will increase is because the sugar, whenever the sugar rises, and your pancreas give up and be like, you know what, I'm giving too much insulin, I'm tired, give me a break, let me, I surrender. So what happened is that the sugar will turn into fat, and then where the sugar likes to sit, right on your belly fat, and that's how you start getting that belly fat, and then you have that unexplained weight gain, and or stubborn weight that you have. Okay, let's look at another one. So for mineral deficiencies, so just think of it, the more your cortisol keeps shooting up, the more your minerals, actually, let's say the cortisol, it regulates minerals just like potassium, sodium, and calcium especially. So whenever you keep stressing that cortisol, it's like all over the place, going up and down, up and down, up and down. So now everything is out of control. So now you start losing those minerals that are very important for your body, especially your heart. really, really important for your heart. The potassium, it helps with the heart rhythm and everything. And then the sodium, and the sodium now can make you feel probably foggy, you're confused, you don't know what's going on, or you're kind of off a little bit. And that might be a reason, a root cause of you feeling that way. And then for the calcium, we need calcium for our teeth, and bones and stuff like that, and movement and muscle. So whenever we keep losing those minerals by overworking our adrenal gland to keep shooting cortisol because you're stimulating them with caffeine, over time, this will happen. And I talk about the weight gain, the diabetes type 2, and then the craving. So what the body does too, cortisol does something that is very tricky. So there are two other hormones that's called ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, and then there is another one that's called leptin. That's the satiety hormone. So normally in a normal life, whenever you're hungry, the the ghrelin will activate to say, "Hey, brain, I'm hungry. I need some food," and then you start eating. All right, you're eating, which is fine. And then when you are full, and your gut send a signal to your brain saying, "Hey, I'm full." That is through the leptin hormone. It tells the leptin, "Hey, I'm full." Okay, good. So we're not sending any more food down there. But whenever your cortisol continue to rise up and down. So it basically disturb those two hormones. That's when you start having that craving, especially sweets. Why? Because the your body needs the sugar for that quick energy, the quick boost of energy. And sometimes if your liver, your liver store a lot of sugar, but if your liver is like, man, I don't have much sugar, I don't know what you want me to do. So then the cortisol will be like, okay, so if you don't have sugar, I need sugar because my master, the body is telling me that they need me. So what they do, craving sugar. That's why you see vending machine all over the place. People just eating sweet or carbohydrate because they need that energy. Because again, your adrenal glands are very nice. Even if they are tired, they are still going to find a way to give you that cortisol that you are asking for to keep you awake and alert. And then what else? What else? The inflammation. So this is another one that is scary. So whenever your cortisol gets high, it inhibit healing. How? By inhibiting inflammation. Inflammation, if you didn't know, inflammation is great. Why? Because it is the first stage of healing. You need that. Whenever you got a cut and you need to heal, yes, you need that inflammation to start so you can heal your body. But now, whenever you keep messing with that cortisol, it'll inhibit inflammation, which will now cause you something that's called poor healing. So you need to be really careful about that. Let's see if I cover everything. Pretty much, yes. So there are a lot of other things that I can tell you what the cortisol do. I hope that you have questions. Maybe I'll answer your question if I didn't answer your questions already. But there are a lot of things that the adrenal gland, when it's fatigued, what it does to the body, especially with that cortisol that keeps going high and high and high. Okay. And then one thing before I move on to the liver, you probably know that the caffeine they're very acidic. Caffeine are very acidic, and why I'm saying that is because whenever you keep drinking caffeine, so it'll irritate the gut lining. And if you were in my last webinar or the first webinar, I explained the importance of the gut lining because your gut lining is like a defense mechanism. So what the gut lining quickly, what it does, it basically stay intact and it's like a guard. So whenever your small intestine is absorbing food and nutrient. So the gut lining is like, okay, so the good microorganism, you can go to the bloodstream, and the bad one or the harmful one, you stay away. So now, whenever you keep irritating that gut lining with that caffeine and other food as well, but caffeine is one of them. So now it'll weaken that gut lining, and then eventually that gut lining will break, and you have something that's called leaky gut. Leaky gut, then what happened is that now not only the good nutrient is going through your bloodstream, the bad ones are going too. And whenever the bad ones are going, you're gonna get that fatigue 100%. You're gonna get all sort of problem, food sensitivity, the fatigue, you have that brain fog, and you can even have the bloating too, and etc. So now let's move on to the liver because I have so much to say. I have to move on. All right, now let's talk about the liver itself. So the liver, all your organs are connected. They basically communicate with one another. If one is having a problem, it'll say, "Hey, man, I have a problem. Can you help?" Yes, the other one will help. So they have a good relationship. So the liver is another organ that's located on the upper right side of your abdomen. The liver, like it says, has over 500 essential function, but we cannot talk about all those functions tonight. I'm going to give you a few of the function that's related to fatigue and connected to the caffeine impact on your body. So let's start with the detoxification. That's the most common role of the liver. Everybody knows is it filters chemicals and like waste from medications or even food and drink as well. I'm talking alcohol, it goes to your liver, it metabolizes in your liver, and then smoking as well metabolizes in your liver. So there are a lot of toxin chemicals from these items and some food as well, processed food. So what the liver does, the liver is very nice. It's like, you know what? Let me filter it. Let me filter it so I can take the harmful chemicals away, and then I will release the good, part of those items. So that's one thing. However, if that liver, we keep messing with that liver, we just keep giving it work, and over time, just like the adrenal gland, the liver be like, what do you want me to do? So now the liver start giving up. The liver start being very, very, very sluggish, or the liver is not functioning as well as when it was fresh and very, very active. Now that the liver is being overworked, and you know what happened when you're working something, anything you can think of too much or too hard, it start giving up on you. So that's another problem. So with that, what it does to the body, so whenever the liver gets overworked, now instead of filtering the chemicals or the toxins, those toxins will start slipping. They be like, okay, so I go to the liver, but the liver is so weak, I got away. So then those toxins they go to your body. Guess what? It'll cause fatigue. That don't explain fatigue because your body they don't want those toxins. Now you need to detoxify somehow, but before this happened, yes, you're gonna get those chemical, the toxins that go through your body, and that will cause that unexplained fatigue. That's one of the root causes of people feeling fatigue, and they don't know why. They go to the doctor, they have the blood work drawn, everything seems normal, but they still have that fatigue. That is one of many reasons. So now let's look at the hormone side, balancing hormones. What I mean by that is the liver breaks down excess estrogen and cortisol. Let's just focus on the cortisol because that's what tied to the previous organ. So the liver, it breaks down that cortisol. So whenever your cortisol shoots up, the liver help breaking it down. However, when the liver get tired as well and the cortisol starts shooting up, And the adrenal gland's like, yo, man, I need some help right over here. And the liver is like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm tired too. I cannot function the way I used to be. I'm getting old right now. They working me so hard, I can't do everything effectively. So then that becomes a problem. You can imagine what happened now when your cortisol level stays up. Again, as a reminder, it increases your blood sugar, your blood pressure, your heart rate, and then now more work for your pancreas. And you know what happened when your pancreas start giving up on you. So that's another problem. And your hormones probably will be all over the place. Now let's go down to balancing blood sugar. So for blood sugar, your liver stores blood sugar as energy. So whenever the amino acid goes to the liver convert that amino acid into sugar and it's stored right there. Why? Because the liver knows that, hey, you might go a day or maybe several hours without eating. So instead of letting you suffer, I got some energy for you. So I'm going to release some energy, just to keep the body working. Very nice of the liver. But if you keep messing with the liver, then the liver will be like, hey, I'm giving up, especially if that cortisol keeps shooting up and say, I need sugar, I need sugar. Then the liver is like, okay, here is some sugar. This is my the sugar that I stored. And over time, you have no more sugar store or very little sugar, minimal sugar store. And that's when you got that craving going on because you need that sugar. So yes, it balances the blood sugar really well and support nutrient absorption and activation. That is very key. You might find yourself eating food high in vitamin B12 or iron or CoQ10 or any essential nutrient high in energy, and you're still finding yourself very, very tired. You need to start thinking about your liver. Why? Because your liver, when it's not functioning as well, it interfere with the B12 absorption, the iron absorption, and all other energy you get from your nutrient. So that's another key role that the liver does. I'm gonna explain to you how the what the liver does to the digestive system. Even though when you eat, normally the food doesn't go to your liver. Again, the food does not go to your liver. The food goes to your, from your mouth to your esophagus and then down to your stomach. And then from your stomach, the food goes to your small intestine. But whenever the food gets to your small intestine, that's when the liver helps. So what the liver does, it basically shoots up something called bile. So whenever you get food, especially fat, I'm talking like the food, the fat in your small intestine. In order for your body to absorb it, you need the liver to produce the bile. Then the bile will go to your gallbladder, which people think that it's useless. Your gallbladder is really important. The gallbladder and the liver, they work together in that process. The liver send the bile to the gallbladder, and the gallbladder concentrate the bile and then shoot it down to your small intestine. And this is how you break down fat in your body. But if the liver is not working as well, you can imagine what can happen to your small intestine when it's trying to absorb fat and other nutrients, and the liver is like, hey, like they overworking me right here. I'm just tired. I'm giving up. So these are like few of many function of the liver and how it impacts your energy, that unexplained fatigue, and how that cortisol that keeps shooting can also affect the liver. And how do we mess up? One of the way we mess up with the cortisol is that caffeine that we think that has the energy. No, like the 5 hour energy, whatever they call it, or any soda and stuff like that. They are not the energy. They Now you understand what it does to the body, like what it is suppressing in the body to produce that energy to you. So now, what are some natural ways to boost your energy? Yes, there are natural ways to boost your energy. First of all, your body has everything. I want you to remember that your body has everything that you need to function very well. Like I said, all the organs, they work with one another. They compensate sometimes with one another. They communicate with one another. They watch out for one another. But unfortunately, sometimes one organ may not be functioning as well. But instead of introducing like chemicals or another pill to the body, you need to find the root cause of that problem. Because yes, if you really look at the body as a whole, you don't just look at one organ or one part of the body. You look at everything. That includes even your lifestyle, what you're putting in your mouth, and your past medical history, and etc. You will be able to find the root cause of your low energy instead of shooting. Well, that's the right word, shooting cortisol by stimulating the adrenal gland with caffeine. So, what are some natural ways to boost your energy? The first one is to regulate blood sugar level. By now, you understand that the high cortisol, high blood sugar. Just think of a high cortisol, high blood sugar, increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, eyes are dilated, like you're ready to go. But you're not always in that state. Like sometimes, like right now, if I'm relaxing, I don't need my cortisol to be high, so I need to relax. So so by regulating your blood sugar, it'll help. Why? Because whenever the cortisol start to shoot blood sugar, instead of having some bad sugar in the body, you will have some very good sugar in the body. So what I mean by that is that not all sugar are made the same. Very key. So we need to avoid refined sugar in processed food, and we need to eat more leafy greens and natural sweeteners like honey. So why we need to avoid refined sugar in processed food? Let me start with processed food first. Processed food, it has a lot of chemicals in it. It's processed. It is not natural. It has a lot of chemicals in it. By eating so much processed food, now you overworking your liver to begin with, and you know what happened to the liver, the function that the liver does to help the body. And when you keep messing with the liver by eating processed food, what can happen? And now let's go to the refined sugar. So refined sugar is very tricky. It is very tricky. If you go to grocery shopping, I started doing grocery shopping now, and and of course I'm paying attention. Looking at all the ingredients from what I picked to bring home. So yeah, that's another story. So the refined sugar, what it does, the refined sugar itself is a processed sugar. It's not natural sugar. It is not natural. It's like something you process, just like the processed food. It's like it goes to a machine. It does some type of things. Like I don't know what they do, but it's just not natural. So the refined sugar. Here is the danger about refined sugar. Whenever we intake refined sugar, we get that spike in the energy, just like your cortisol. Boom, spike. That's what the refined sugar does. And then what it does, it crashes right down. So the refined sugar is very dangerous to your body. So not just your cortisol, but if your cortisol is high and you taking in a refined sugar, it's you basically are going to shoot up your energy. And yes, the refined sugar will give you that energy. That's why energy drink has a lot of refined sugar. Keep that in mind. And then what else has refined sugar? Table sugar. Table sugar has a lot of refined sugar. And refined sugar, again, it is not good for us. It is not good for your body. Yes, it gives you that quick energy, the quick fix. Yes, you get the energy, it boosts your energy all the way up. And guess what happened? There's a saying that says, the higher you go, the harder you fall. And that's exactly what the refined sugar does to your body. So you need to be careful with that. So what's tricky about the refined sugar is that Some ingredients will not say refined sugar in it. Because if you know refined sugar is not good, then you'll be like, oh, okay, it has refined sugar, so I'm not gonna take it. No. So cake, I know people love cake. Thank God I don't love cake. I'm allergic to eggs. Cake has a lot of refined sugar. Cookies, brownies, pancake, waffles, and those are the things that we love here in America. I'm keeping it real. We love this in America. And yes, they're not good for you. They absolutely are not good for you. It's not going to tell you, looking at the menu, oh, yeah, it has refined sugar. Who's going to ask that question? No, maybe you don't know what refined sugar is. But yes, it's really important to keep an eye on that to make sure that you know what has refined sugar and what does not have refined sugar. So, another trick and tip I'm going to share with you, whenever you go to grocery shopping, you go grocery shopping and then you look at a cane or any food or anything, and looking at the ingredients, you I don't know if you pay attention, it'll say total sugar this amount and then added sugar that amount. The added sugar, they are most likely 99.9% refined sugar. We don't want that. That's very sad. A lot of the time, I don't know why it doesn't say refined sugar. It just say added sugar. Sometimes it just says sugar. So you just have to do your research. You have to know. And yes, that's why I said knowledge is power. If you don't know, yes, you're gonna keep taking that refined sugar, and it just gonna mess up with your energy. So refined sugar, no. So the type of sugar that's good for, I know some of you probably are asking, like, what type of sugar that's good for you? There are a lot of type of sugar. That's why I said sugar are not made the same. So refined sugar is considered as sucrose. That's the fancy name, sucrose. Other sugar that are good for you, but you still have to maintain the amount though. Make sure that you get the right amount. Or fructose and lactose. These are just two examples. Fructose, you get that from fruits. And for example, bananas, apples, they have like sugar. Yes, don't take too much sugar, but they are way better than refined sugar. Why? Because they have other nutrients in it. You will get some fiber out of the fruit, not just the sugar, but the refined sugar, it gives you zero minerals. It's like it's useless, to be honest. It is really useless. What it does, it just shoot your energy, and then you like that. Your body's like, oh yeah, I love it. I got that energy. I'm good. But what happened after? Boom, you crash down. But you're like, oh, that's okay. I just need more energy. So that's why focus on the type of sugar that you're putting into your mouth. Table sugar, unfortunately, is not good. And added sugar, wherever you see added sugar, question that, it is not good. And then sometimes, whenever you go on breakfast, I know a lot of people, sometimes it's great to go out to eat, that's great. But the breakfast items, like, they are marketing them as healthy. You always see, oh, this is healthy, but is it really healthy? But a lot of them, they have refined sugars in them. You just have to look. You have to do your research. You have to, yes, like, look, basically look, read. That's one thing I'm challenging you all to do. Start reading if you have not already. I know some people, they do. Start reading whatever you're putting in your mouth. Like, what is it? And also, whenever you get something that's like a quick fix, why is it so easy? Like, nothing is easy. Just like the caffeine. Yes, I drink the caffeine. I'm very solid, some strong caffeine. In Haiti, we have that strong caffeine, and I used to drink that. Like, wake up in the morning, yes, let me get that caffeine. I'm very strong, like that quick energy. Like, really, like, nothing is that easy. I know sometimes we make things easy, but nothing is really easy. Like, I know you're busy, you're looking for quick fix, and I understand this is the lifestyle that we're living in. This is the new generation. But yes, please, if you care about your health, if you want to know the root cause of fatigue, and then what happened to your body when you take those, soda and energy drink and caffeine, and you need to do your homework basically. Now let's go to putting coffee away. I'm not going to tell you to put the coffee away. um, I'm going to let you decide whether you need to put it away or not. But what I'm going to ask you, please, I'm begging you, do not drink coffee first thing in the morning. That is one thing I'm asking you not to do. Do not drink coffee first thing in the morning. If you just join, I'm going to explain it real quick why first thing in the morning coffee messes up with your energy, and it's stealing your energy instead of giving your energy. It'll basically, it's like, I'm sorry, it's like America. Yes, you work, you get paid, and then you got to pay the bills. This is exactly what coffee first thing in the morning does. It gives you the energy that you ask for, and it takes it away. And when it takes it away, it hurts even worse. And over time, you will pay for it, and it'll cause all those type of problem on top of what you already have, unfortunately. So yes, first thing in the morning, when your body wakes up, your cortisol rises naturally. Why? Because you need that to help you wake up in the morning. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't have that rise in your cortisol. So that's why you need to find the root cause instead of, you know, stimulate your glands, your adrenal glands with caffeine to get you more cortisol. Yes, if it doesn't rise as it's true in the morning, find out why. Get the root cause instead of doing all those things. So yes, in the morning, so whenever your cortisol naturally rises, and then you give your adrenal gland, you stimulate your adrenal gland with a good cup of coffee. Now, when you drink that cup of coffee, in your head is like, yep, that's my energy. I'm ready for the day. No, you damaging your your energy. You're basically giving away your energy. You trading your energy with like some like maybe couple of hours of strong energy for a crash later. Like if you're thinking short term, yes, it's good for you, but if you're thinking long term, it is not good for you. As a routine, whenever you wake up, everybody have their own routine. Maybe when you wake up, you pray or you do your meditation. But if you wake up and you see that, like something bothers you, it'll mess up with you. And then that's what your adrenal gland will do. Like, hey, I'm giving you cortisol in the morning to help you wake up. And then now you're stimulating me with caffeine to give you even more cortisol. So I'm giving you double cortisol. Come on now. Okay, I'm gonna give it to you as you wish, but be ready for the crash because you're gonna get crashed. But some people um, they get so used to it, they don't think that they are crashing. But if you're listening to your body, if you're watching your body, yes, you will get that crash. And then by getting the other cup of coffee, it's like, okay, so we're going to give you the other energy, and then you're gonna crash again. So if you cannot put away the coffee, at least don't drink it first thing in the morning because you want your body to naturally stimulate that cortisol to help you stay alert and awake. And again, if you're not getting that increased cortisol level in the morning, find the root cause instead of getting the quick fix. So now eating food high in protein. Yes, you need to eat food high in protein because remember, whenever you keep messing up with your cortisol, yes, it's going to take away a lot of good minerals from you, and it's going to start burning other things because you need that quick fix. But your body naturally, like the fat burning energy. So when you store fat in your body, yes, it loves it. So especially when you're calm and you're burning that fat or you're doing some low intense exercise, yeah, it helps with the balancing um, between your energy and the level of exercise that you're doing. But if you constantly drinking that coffee or if you're constantly taking that refined sugar, now the body is like, okay, so this is a quick fix. I'm getting used to that. So when the body start getting used to it, and then you stop abruptly cold turkey, you're gonna have a problem with the body. So just keep that in mind. And then limit stress. Very important. Limit stress, because the stress boosts your cortisol big time. And I know we live in a day and age where everything is stressful. Work can be very stressful, or maybe family problems, or maybe your personal problems, bills. Everything is stressful, and sometimes you get stuck in that stress moment that you don't even think that you're stressed. You think that's normal. It is not normal. It really is not normal. Just start listening to your body and give your body what it needs, and following your body's sign, because your body is telling you what you need to do. You just need to really listen, start being stubborn, listen to your body, so you can actually take care, get that natural boost instead of those quick fixes. And other things I want to add is avoid smoking if you can, because smoking, what it does, it has a lot of chemicals in it, and you put too much work, stress on the liver has to break it down. But over time, the liver is going to be like, hey, I'm tired. So the liver is going to open the gate, and then all those chemicals going to go to your body. Yes, you can get that fatigue. And then also drinking too. When you drink alcohol, excessive drinking, um, alcohol drinking, your body, it primarily metabolizes in your liver, and the liver is very nice to you by doing the work, making sure that it keeps the chemicals away. But if you again continue to overwork the liver does not need overtime, and it'll really affect you. So that is pretty much it. I know I went over. There's so much more I wanted to share with you, but this is it for tonight. In the next webinar, which will be next month, June 12 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we will talk about all the different type of sugar, because I want you to really know and master the different type of sugar and how to identify them and why it's good and etc. So that will be for the next webinar. And then why your body is craving sugar. It is not only because of your high cortisol or your stress level that your body will crave sugar. There are a lot of other things that you need to know why your body is craving sugar so much. And sugar is danger. And that concludes my presentation for tonight. Thank you all for participating. I I am open now for any questions if there are. And I hope you guys learned something, and please execute starting today. Love your body, listen to your body. Thank you.
We had a couple questions come in. So really quickly, what happened? Why do I have a headache when I don't drink coffee? Um, and followed by why, when I drink coffee, do I have heart palpitations?
Okay, these are great questions. So why do you get the headache when you don't drink coffee? So your body naturally will get used to whatever you're doing to it. If you're drinking coffee so much, and your adrenal gland will be like, you know what? I don't even need to do my natural, process. I know that you will give me some coffee to stimulate me, and I will shoot the cortisol. So the body will, get used to the process. So whenever now you take away the coffee from the body, and the adrenal gland is like, wait a minute. So where is my coffee? I'm waiting to be stimulated, but there is no coffee. So what happened is that you create that dependency on the caffeine. Why? Because that's what the body is now used to, instead of naturally, increase your cortisol and then lower your cortisol, and decrease your melatonin and then increase your melatonin over time. So that's why you have that headache, because your body is like, hey, you taking away something from me. Now I'm spoiled now. You spoiled me with coffee and caffeine. So give me my caffeine so I can function. So that's why you get that headache. It's like your body's like, hey, what's going on? So for the heart palpitation, there are a lot of reasons that you might get heart palpitation. I was actually talking to someone earlier today, um, and she asked me that question too. And I'm glad that maybe her or somebody else asked that question. So what happened is that, remember, whenever you drink the coffee and or energy drink, you stimulates the adrenal glands to produce more cortisol. And what the cortisol does, it increases your blood sugar, it increases your heart rate, and it increases your blood pressure. So if you already have some cardiovascular or heart problem, by suppressing your adrenal gland, forcing it to shoot more cortisol, it'll keep increasing your heart rate, and then that will end up giving you the heart palpitation. And before I gotta admit, I used to take 5-hour energy back in the day. And there was a friend of mine. He kept saying that, man, every time I drink, those energy, take those energy drink, I get the heart palpitation. I didn't know back in the day, but now I understand. And yes, so it's not really the energy drink; it's what the energy drink does to the body. So the energy drink again, it stimulates those glands to shoot more cortisol. So whenever those cortisol get high, then your heart rate will also get high, and then that's how you get the heart palpitation. And some people, they might not have that much of increase of heart rate, but some other people they do. It depends on your comorbidities. And another thing is that, remember that the cortisol, whenever it's high, it also depletes or it takes away the minerals like the potassium, your calcium, and sodium. The potassium is very good for your muscle. The potassium is what's really help with your muscle, your heart rhythm. So whenever your potassium is low, now your heart will be, the rhythm of your heart will be abnormal. That's how you will also get heart palpitation. There are a lot of other ways.
We have another question around if you want to replace coffee, what other healthy options can you suggest? We also had a question, if you do have PCOS, what other alternatives to coffee do you suggest?
Well, my answer is to get the root cause of your problem. Your root cause may not be the other person's root cause, but if you seek proper medical attention, then you will get to the root cause of your problem. So I know a lot of people, like some herbalists, if you ask them those questions, they will say, hey, there are some type of tea that are good um, alternative for coffee or any other energy drink. But just keep in mind that those tea, I just want you to read and understand. Like tea, yes, naturally the tea, they can be really good, they can help with your immune system and everything, anything natural is really good. But also just make sure, because some type of tea, they have something called oxalate that can cause like kidney stone and some other problem. So always keep in mind, like there's most likely a side effect to things that are quick fixes, like things that will give you that fast solution, like get you going. So now what's the side effect? What's the downside of it? So to me is to really listen to your body, get to the root cause of your problem, and then start eating natural food. Like avoid processed food or anything like that. Just keep it natural.
And then the last question for the evening, do you recommend using molasses as a sweetener?
I am not familiar. I don't know too much about molasses for me to comment on that. But I can get back to you on that. I will need to research it, because if I don't research it, I'm not going to sit here and tell you yes or no. But I need to tell you why, because yes, you will need to know why. So what I can do, I will do that research and then get back to that person to know if it is um, a good source of sugar, because there are so many of them. I have a list of the good ones, but of course I don't memorize everything. But I just need to go to um, my notes and everything to find out, if that's included as the natural sugar, not the refined type of sugar. Any other questions? All right. Well, I think this is it. I'm sorry I went over. It is now 8:07. So I thank you all for your time. Thank you for joining the webinar. I hope that you really learned something and you will start applying those things and start paying attention to what you are putting in your mouth. And whenever they give you something, read it, ask questions, ask why. And if you have any problem, instead of focusing on the quick fix or the one size fits all before even putting a medication in your system, please let's get the root cause to the problem. And the next webinar, like I said, will be next month, May, June 12th. So I'll be talking about different type of sugar, and I will include that type of sugar as well. And then why your body is craving sugar, and sugar is a danger. So I want to let you know that. And then I hope you can join the next webinar. And if you have any questions, and Shirley will drop in the chat how you can reach out to me. And also, we post daily some great information in our the Facebook and Instagram social media. So if you want to stay connected, um, she's also going to drop in the chat how you can stay connected, so you can get some good knowledge about food, your system, and everything. So I'm all about teaching and sharing what I know and making sure that people are aware of what is going on instead of being blindsided. And so this is my new passion right now. So I want to thank you all again. I hope you have a great night. And a lot of you got work tomorrow. You probably have kids you need to put to bed. So thank you again. And I will see you all next month, June 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I We will stop the recording. Bye, guys.